What's up, guys, and welcome back to Comic Talk, the once-a-week show on my channel where we get together and we talk about comics. My name is Brad, and I'll be your host. Today there's only one issue we're going to be talking about, and that is going to be Superman issue number 32, part 2 of the Breaking Point storyline involving Superman, Lois Lane, and Slade Wilson, Deathstroke the Terminator. Quickly now, here are both of the covers for this issue. I feel like the one where Superman and Deathstroke are facing each other off is a lot more accurate to the actual inside of the comic in comparison to the one that I got, which is just Superman in a hail of bullets, presumably fired from Deathstroke's gun. The one that I chose is more like a poster, so that's why I chose it, although the other one is still an epic cover nonetheless. For those of you who don't know, the last issue we saw Lois Lane chasing after the scoop of a century, trying to get an interview with Slade Wilson, Deathstroke the Terminator, and she succeeded in getting her scoop, but also at the cost of her becoming the target of Deathstroke the Terminator. Now we know that Deathstroke didn't just take this up himself, he's an assassin for hire, and someone has put him up to it, which will be revealed at the end of this issue. It picks up exactly where the last one left off. The trigger has been pulled, and Lois is now at the hands of the bullet coming from the end of Deathstroke's gun. But have no fear, she was FaceTiming with Clark at the time, and he shows up right in the nick of time and puts himself in between the bullet and Lois. He saves her, as usual. Superman is obviously very upset with Deathstroke, and a battle ensues, without wrecking everything, leaving you something to read. And what happens is Superman pounds on Deathstroke's armor for a while, which absorbs, if you remember, from their last battle, way back in the New 52, his armor actually absorbs all the force that he can throw at it and throws it back at him, which isn't good for any innocent bystanders or collateral damage for that matter. What Superman didn't know was just with a barrage of fists, he almost put Deathstroke's armor out of commission. Superman eventually ends up tossing him into a building which shorts out his armor, not before he disappears. And everything seems to be nice and quiet for a while. Lois goes back to work at the Daily Planet. Everything is nice and quiet and calm on the Western Front. That is, until down at the pier, there's a big fire. Like, a really big fire. Lois, being the intrepid reporter she is, goes down to the pier to try and grab a hold of the scoop. Superman, being Superman, is right there hovering over Lois, not letting Lois out of his sight, watching everything she does because he's Superman and wants to make sure she's safe. However, at this fire, it's revealed that there are some really large tanks filled with explosive/combustible materials. Superman, being Superman, seeing the fire getting closer to the tanks, decides to fly on over there and put the fire out before there's an even bigger bada bing bada boom. After blowing some water up onto the pier from the ocean, it reveals that Deathstroke is there, which is why the whole fire existed in the first place. Turns out, just like that, Deathstroke has Lois, and Deathstroke and Superman are now having a conversation, and it seems here that Deathstroke is trying to push Superman, trying to see how far you could push the Man of Steel before he'll kill. That's what this whole thing seems to be about at this point, trying to get Superman to kill, to get to that breaking point. What is Superman's breaking point, and does he even have one? Superman, of course, exercises amazing restraint and refuses to kill Deathstroke and then become like him. Superman's logic is as follows, and I'll read directly from the source material. Killing corrupts, even when done for the best of intentions. If one killing is justifiable, why not another? And another after that? Can millions be wiped out of existence if it's for the supposed greater good? That way leads to the obliteration of life and the death of worlds. Now, the whole time the conversation between Deathstroke and Superman is going on, the fire is actually working its way towards the explodable, combustible, bada bing, bada boom barrels, and Superman shields Deathstroke and Lois by putting himself in the way, but they kind of disappear in the process. Superman can't find them. Anyway, Lois wakes up on a cot with Slade Wilson in an undisclosed location where she uses her, remember her shock device from the previous issue where when she uses it, it sends a homing signal that only Superman can hear? Yeah, that's used. And Superman comes a-running to Lois and Slade Wilson. Now, the funny part here is that it's Slade Wilson that suggests that she use the stun device with the homing signal. I don't think that Slade Wilson ever had a desire to hurt Lois. I think he always was confident that Superman would show up and get in the way of that bullet. He does remark, "Took you long enough," when he shows up in the first place. I don't think that Slade Wilson is a complete villain. I do think that there is some good in him. I think he's a little bit more complex, like Lex Luthor. Anyhow, Superman comes running, saves Lois, and goes off with her, and the next scene we see that Slade Wilson is in an armored vehicle speaking with someone, and it seems like the experiment between Superman and Deathstroke has came to a close. Whoever had put Deathstroke up to this had gotten the information that they wanted, and it turns out it's revealed on the last page, Amanda Waller from the Suicide Squad. Basically, they'd hired Deathstroke to push Superman to get this analytical data of how far they could push Superman before he would go rogue and kill. And they want to use that against Superman possibly in the future if need be. So the story ended, but it also begins something else. Because DC doesn't just drop threads anymore. They tend to pick threads up later. So this is going to be used later at some point. I'm excited to find out how they use it too. I'm going to be there for the whole ride. Now, I would give this issue very, very high marks because I enjoyed the artwork. I enjoyed the 2-issue story. If you're somebody who is looking for a place to jump into Superman comics, this one's pretty good. You're going to get a good idea of what the Man of Steel's actually like from these 2 issues. And I really like the idea that people who might not know a whole lot about Deathstroke can read these 2 issues, and you can actually glean a whole lot of information of what he's like just from these 2 issues, because there's a lot of explaining that happens in these 2 issues of how he thinks and what motivates him. Anyhow, that's all the time I have today to make this video, so thank you so much for tuning in to watch this episode of Comic Talk. It means the world to me. If you like this video, please slap a like on it. Leave any comments you have down in the comment section below. If you think you might want to see more of this kind of content end up in your inbox, well, just hit the subscribe button and ding the bell, and you'll never miss a video. And I will see you next time. See you later, super friends.